All right, let's talk about this king for a second, because this man was totally unhinged, like emotionally unstable, making life-altering decisions on a whim, throwing royal tantrums left and right. You know the type. One day he throws a 6-month-long party. 6 months, because, apparently Persia didn't have any responsibilities. Somewhere between month 5 and is anyone still alive, he gets this bright idea. Hey, someone go get my wife Vashti and tell her to come out here and, dance for me and my drunk friends. And Vashti, she took one look at that situation and said, absolutely not, because the girl had boundaries. And this king, instead of taking the loss like a real man, he loses his mind. So he gathers all his advisors together, because apparently this is a government crisis now. And all of his advisors were like, yeah, because if Vashti gets away with saying no, then all of our wives might think that they actually have some rights, and we can't have that. So the king, in peak fragile male ego fashion, banishes his wife. This kicks her out of the kingdom for having boundaries. Make that make sense. Then apparently, because this is how ancient kings made decisions, he says, I need a new wife. Let's hold a beauty pageant. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bachelorette, the Persian Empire edition. Let's talk about Esther. This girl was not royalty. She was not Persian, not privileged, no wealth, and no name that carried any weight. She was a literal orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai, just trying to survive. There were Vegas odds on this thing. Esther would not be on the board. But when God calls you royalty, favor hits different. So here comes Esther, plucked from obscurity and dropped into the biggest pageant in history. She gets a full year of spa treatments, oils and perfumes and silk linen. The full Persian princess package. And by the time she walks in the room, the king takes one look and says, that's her. That's the one I want. Just like that, she goes from orphan to queen. But, and this is a big but, Esther still doesn't know her own power. She's in the palace, wearing the crown and living in favor. But she's still thinking like an orphan, still quiet, still playing small, and still hoping no one notices her. Sound familiar? Have you ever been blessed, but you still think you don't belong? Have you ever been chosen and you're still wondering if you're good enough? Have you ever been handed favor, but you're still out here whispering, me? Are you sure? Girl, same. Then enters Haman, the villain of this season's Persian Survivor. Now Haman, this man had the most fragile ego in the kingdom. And when Esther's cousin Mordecai didn't bow to him, he snapped. Instead of handling it like a normal person, he convinces the king to sign a new law. And you know what it said? Kill the Jews. All of them. And guess who's Jewish? Esther. But here's the deal, no one knows that, because she's been hiding her identity this whole time. How many of us are hiding our real selves because we are so afraid it might cost us something? How many of us are toning it down, making ourselves small, trying not to ruffle any feathers when God put us in the position to shake the room? So Mordecai pulls up, absolutely done with Esther playing small. He says, listen, you think you can sit up there in that palace all comfy while the rest of us go down? Think again, because God's still going to move, and you will have missed your moment. Let me tell you something. God's plan, it doesn't fail. If you don't step up, he will find someone else. But you will have missed the blessing, the opportunity, the miracle that had your name on it. So Esther, she gets it. She has her moment. She takes a deep breath. She flips her royal hair and says, if I die, I die. And that is true queen energy. She walks into the throne room uninvited, and that's basically a death sentence. The king could have executed Esther right on the spot. The entire palace is holding their breath, and then the king looks up. But instead of executing her, he extends the golden scepter, which in translation means she had favor. And then after Esther playing it cool for a few days, because listen, she was strategic, she finally speaks her truth. She stops hiding who she is. And guess what happens? The villain Haman, he was exposed. The Jews, they were saved. And the orphan girl who thought she didn't belong, she became a history maker. So listen up, this is not just Esther's story, this is your story. How long are you going to sit on your power? How long are you going to sit in fear and stay quiet? How long are you going to act like you don't belong when God gave you the seat? Because you are not an orphan, you're a queen. Esther had no royal blood, no connections, no right background. God said she was royalty, and so are you. If you don't step up, God's still going to move, but you will have missed your opportunity.